Good morning, and thank you for being here this morning as we come together as a family to celebrate this Holy Mass. And again, a special welcome to all visitors that are with us here at St. Catherine of Sweden this morning. A friend of mine had always had a dream to someday own a Cadillac Escalade. That was always his dream, and he kept dreaming about it. And after he graduated from college, after he got his master's degree, he ended up with a great sales position, and he would travel all over selling his product. And about a couple months ago, he finally saved up enough that he could buy that new Escalade, and it came in, and he was enjoying his new ride, and he was enjoying just all the beauty of this vehicle. And one day he was out on a sales call, and he was riding up a small street. It was a one-way street, and there was cars parked on both sides. And as he was riding up the street, again, he was thinking about his next sales call, but he was enjoying that great ride, when all of a sudden he heard a loud thunk, a thug on the side of his vehicle. And the first thing that went through his mind was, did he hit someone? And he couldn't see anyone around. So he put it in park, and he jumped out, and when he jumped out, he was surprised to find a brick laying beside his vehicle, and there was this huge dent in the side of the Escalade, in the door, on the passenger door. And he quickly turned around, and he saw a little boy running, and the little guy was running from him, and he ran over and he grabbed the kid, and he said, "What were you thinking? What were you thinking that you would do such a thing?" And the boy had tears running down his face, and he was shaking, and he said, I didn't have anything else to do. This was the only way I could get your attention. And my buddy said, "Well, why are you trying to get my attention?" And he said, "Well, I tried to stop all kinds of people, and nobody would stop to help me." And my buddy said, "Well, what did you need help for?" And the little boy pointed behind one of the parked cars, and there laying on the sidewalk was another little boy, and there was a wheelchair there tipped over. And he said, "I was pushing my brother to our grandma's house, and the wheelchair hit a crack in the sidewalk, and it tipped, and he fell out, and he's too big for me to lift back up in. I need somebody to help me to lift my brother up." And nobody would stop. And I thought that was the only way I could get someone's attention, if I threw a brick at their vehicle. Well, my buddy started to well up as well. The tears started to come down, and he went over and he helped get that little boy back in the wheelchair, and he helped them both on their way. And to this day, that big dent is still in the side of the passenger door on his Escalade. And he said, I'm going to let it there for a while, maybe forever, as a reminder to me that I hope I never get so caught up in myself. I hope I don't get too busy that God has to throw a brick at me to get my attention. My dear family, as we come together today, God sometimes throws bricks at us, doesn't he? Sometimes he throws bricks at us to get our attention. And today, as we hear the beautiful scripture readings, that's exactly what's happening with the disciples. Remember last week's gospel? Last week, Jesus sent them out 2 by 2. He was giving them a job to do. He was putting them to work. And as the disciples went off to do their work, hey, they must have really been successful, because now we catch up with them this week, and they all gather around Jesus, and we're told that they reported all the things that they had done. And as they're reporting all these things, there's a ton of people gathered around them. So these guys must have really been successful at going out and spreading that good news. But what does Jesus do? He looks at them, he looks at his disciples, and he says, "Hey, you've worked so hard, you need some time to rest." He says, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." And he said that to them because there were so many people coming that they didn't even have time to eat. They couldn't even stop at McDonald's and get a Happy Meal or an Egg McMuffin. They were so busy working with all these people. So all they do is they jump in that boat and they go off to this deserted place. But we're told that the crowds saw where they were going. Now picture this in your mind. You've been saving up for your ultimate vacation. You got a beach house, and you're looking forward to being at that beach house. And you've been looking forward to this vacation for many years. And you can't wait to get away from those co-workers that just drive you wild. You can't wait to get away from the neighbors that might sometimes keep borrowing too many of your tools or too many cups of sugar. You can't wait to get away from those classmates, the friends that you just need a break from. And as you go off to that ultimate vacation, as you pull up to that beach house that you've been looking forward to, at the house next door is the boss that you couldn't wait to get away from. And he's waving as you pull up for that great vacation. And there's the neighbor kids playing in front of the house that you rented. And they're there already in the pool that's part of your house. Or here's those relatives that you were hoping to get some time away from. How would you feel if you were looking forward to that vacation away from all these people, and there they were already there before you? I don't know about you, but I think I would be furious. I think I'd be hitting the road down as fast as I could the other direction, trying to get away from these people. But that's exactly what happened to our dear Lord. They went to that deserted place, and all these people they were trying to get a break from were there already. We're told that people hastened there on foot from all the towns, and they arrived at the place before them. They were all there. They were all there ready. But look what happens. Jesus gets off the boat. He saw the vast crowd, and his heart was moved with pity for them. His heart was moved with pity for them. That's the difference between the disciples and Jesus. That's the difference between us and our dear Lord. Today, the beautiful reading that Rebecca read from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians, it tells us that Jesus has come to break down that dividing wall. And sometimes that dividing wall for us is just irritation or anger. But Jesus is here to break down that dividing wall. He's here to fill our hearts with peace, so that we can reach out with compassion to those around us. The first reading that Tom read from the prophet Jeremiah, it talks about how God has shepherds out there. And sometimes the shepherds don't do a good job, or sometimes they're overwhelmed. That's why the Pope has all the bishops. That's why the bishop has all of us, his priests and deacons. But that's why we all have you, our families, our parish families, to go out and try to spread that good news, to go out and continue the work of the disciples. Sometimes we feel like doing it, but sometimes we don't. But also it shows us the great circular motion of our ministry. We have to go out and work hard, but also we got to make sure we take time off to rest, to relax, to re-energize ourselves so that we know what to do, so that we have the energy to go out and feed those around us. I was reading a story from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and it was a beautiful story about a woman who got onto a bus. And as she got onto the bus, she noticed a young boy sitting there by who she thought was her mother. And the young boy was there in shorts and tennis shoes, and his tennis shoes were kind of dirty. And his mom was in a real nice blue business suit. And she wondered, well, what's that all about? And she sat there by him. And before long, the little boy was fidgeting around, and his dirty tennis shoes were getting her suit dirty as well. And the woman said to the lady who she thought was the boy's mom, she said, "Do you mind telling your kid to behave? He's getting my suit all dirty. His shoes are getting my suit all dirty." And the other woman says, "He's not my kid. I don't know who he belongs to." And the other woman said to the little boy, "Are you here by yourself? Are you on this bus all by yourself?" And the little guy said, "Yep." He said, "My parents died several years ago, and I get moved around from one aunt to another. And I have to travel alone by myself on this bus to go from one house to another because I'm too much energy for them to keep all the time." And a woman said to him, "Well, don't you get scared?" And the little boy said, "No, I don't get scared. Sometimes I get lonely, but the way I deal with the loneliness is I get on the bus and I look for someone that looks good, someone that looks happy, and I sit beside them and I pretend that I'm with them and that they're with me." And with that, the two women hugged the little boy and stayed with him to make sure he got to his aunt's house. My dear family, as we come together, we don't need to wait till God throws a brick at us to see the people that are lonely or feeling forgotten or just need our love and our care in the world. Today, as we come together as a family, our God comes before us on this altar to give each of us rest and refreshment, to help us so we can go out into the world and continue the work that his disciples started. The Gospels continued. Wait till you hear what next week's Gospel is all about as it continues. But our focus this week is on the rest, on the refreshment that all of us need. Maybe you can only take today off for a little bit. Maybe you get a little bit of time just to spend with some loved ones. Or maybe today isn't your day off that you have to work like crazy. But sometime this week, find a little bit of time that you make sacred. Time that you can listen to our Lord and what he has to say to you, but also to be refreshed to go out and to meet those people that need our love, that need our care, the people that are pretending that they know us and hopefully pretending that we know them. As we come together today, our God feeds us, he refreshes us, but he sends us out. May each of us truly embrace that call and never ever wait till he has to throw a brick at us to get our attention.